Yeah, what are you up to?
Um, Today I gotta get some schoolwork done. Kind of get everything prepped. I've got my shoulder getting operated on tomorrow, so um,
Really?
yeah. So
Is
finally
that
getting that fixed. That's an old one that I just was like, I was too stubborn to get done, as you know, you know.
why? Why? Why were you too stubborn?
Well, so like it happened probably my freshman year or so, and it was just like, all right, well, I want to train in the off season. Like I gotta get better, right?
Hmm.
Um, And then about the time that it started to kind of get bad is when I tore my ACL the first time. And in hindsight, I definitely should have just gotten it done while I was out. But it was like,
Hmm.
I was just like, knee rehab sucks. I don't want to be doing any more rehab.
Yeah.
So I never got it done and kind of just compensated. But I'm glad to be getting it done now since, you know,
Yeah. Oh, this is
how,
interesting to start off like this because I assume a lot of athletes go through that. And so like weighing the I mean, we have athletes doing it right now, like weighing whether or not to get it done and, you know, like the options and going under surgery is never any fun, obviously, and you never know how you're going to respond. So like, man, um, and you don't want to do two surgeries at once, ACL and shoulder. Like, obviously, like my first reaction when you said that was like, why didn't you just do them at the same time? But so gosh, yeah. Do you like how often did you kind of go back and forth on that? I mean, whether or not to do it and
yeah, no, I mean, so like, you know, if you go through like college, it was kind of a weird experience where it was like, okay, first year was COVID, right? I was a 2020 grad. So that first year was like that COVID year. It was kind of weird.
yeah.
They had the empty NCAAs,
Hmm.
and I was at Iowa that year. Um, and then I left and I went to Virginia the next year and, and kind of had been hurt, but it was like, okay, I'm good. Like I'm doing the shoulder rehab, right? And it's
Yeah.
not coming out that often. So I'm going to be okay. Right.
Coming out that often.
And then, in my third year, they're like, can you go up to heavyweight? And I was like, absolutely, sure, might as well. Would love to give that a shot. And that was something that kind of been talked about with different coaches during recruiting too, where it was like, we could see you at 97 or heavy. It's kind of going to be up to you. We think you'd be a great heavyweight. And I remember in high school, I was like, I'm never going to wrestle heavyweight. And then that's what I ended up wrestling. But um, go get up there. Um, and then I tear my ACL that first time, that third year, come back doing shoulder rehab. Everything's fine with shoulder, um, and then tear my other one, and then it was like, all right, shoot. So then after that, you're kind of like, okay, well, I don't like. I got back on the mat probably. I tore it in October, so I got back on the mat. It would have been kind of like around the summer time,
Yeah.
and then it was like, okay, well, do I really want to get my shoulder done right now? Because then it's going to be like a full calendar year of just not being on the mat at all. And so I was like, no.
Mm.
And then after last year, I was kind of like, maybe I should do it, but this is going to be my last year. Do I want to miss the off season? And my short answer is, I should have just done it. I should have got it done like that. No doubt about it. I should have
Yeah.
done it, but it is what it is
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Hindsight, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
um, but I mean that the thing is, I guess like I bet you would have done it if you didn't have these other injuries like an ACL
Oh,
or something like
absolutely. Absolutely. Like, yeah, no, it's just one of those where it's like, yeah, sure, this makes sense to get taken care of. It's 4 months and then you're able to, start rolling again. And then 6 months you're full go. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever. But then it's like, I don't know if you ever had to do the ACL rehab, but it's not fun, man.
really.
It's a grind.
What's it like?
So yeah, I mean, for the guys going through it, it's it's just kind of like every day you show up and you're like, it's gonna be a rough day. Um, and like you look at it and for a while it's just building up the strength back in your leg. And then us wrestlers were not very good at the whole being athletic thing most of the time. So then, you start to do your plyos and your jumping and your sprinting, and it's like it already wasn't very good in the first place, and it's really not
Mhm.
good now. So, but it's something that I mean, I builds a lot of character, you know, because you have to sit on the side and you have to watch as others are stepping in into the spot that you should be or you want to be, and it's just kind of like a quiet time of what's going on outwardly, but inwardly there was a lot of like fighting mentally to be like, I can do this, I can come back, I can be better than I was.
Mhm.
And so definitely a character builder. Wouldn't recommend it if you don't have to do it, but if you
Yeah.
do, if you're going through it, you're gonna make it through.
Yeah. Well said. I'm curious how devastating the second one was. The first one's obviously probably really devastating, but you're like, all right, I'll just come back and it'll be fine. But then the second one happens, and like, I just I feel like from the outside looking in, like that would have been almost like that could have broke you, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, it did. I like so the first one was, you know, as far as like wrestling goes, I was we were wrestling at Queens College, which doesn't have a program anymore, which sucks.
Yeah, yeah,
But I was wrestling at heavyweight, first 20 seconds of the match. I go double unders, go to body lock, go to pick him up, and my knee just pops. It's like, okay,
really. So it's
yeah, it was like literally, what are you gonna do about that? Right. I tried to finish the match and like I remember it in my family. It was just terrible to watch because I'm kind of like hobbling around. And then at one point I go to like move in my stance with
mhm.
all the weight on my left leg and I just buckle over and I'm just like on the mat. And I was like, all right, I don't think I can finish this match right now. And so then, yeah. And then after that, it was kind of like, all right, Vision Quest, I'm going to come back. I can do this. A lot of guys have come back from one.
Right.
Um, and, and then I was wrestling JILO. If you know him at all, he was a
Yeah,
Virginia U23 world medalist. Now he's at the
yeah,
Ohio RTC. Awesome, awesome guy. And we wrestled all the time. But we were doing a match and um, it was a freestyle match and I was trying to get like this cheap little turn that I used to do in freestyle um and I had done it to him before so he knew how to defend it and so
hmm
basically it's like you kind of step over the top and you lock around the leg and you just kind of feel which way they're going, you get cheap turn. Well, the way to defend that is you just come straight up, like you just come up back.
yeah,
And so I could feel him doing it. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get bombed on my head right now. And then I tried to kick out, and then that just my foot was locked, and it was just
wow,
done. Um, and at that point, I'm a senior in college, and I'm like, am I ever gonna wrestle again?
yeah,
Like, am I ever gonna get the opportunity to do this again? And I mean, that's a demon to wrestle with in itself,
yeah,
And so there were a lot of days where it was kind of like is going through rehab again, like at the same intensity. Because the second time I went with even more intensity towards
really,
my rehab because it was like, okay, well, I don't want this to happen ever again. But then
yeah,
also you're just like, I got to keep up with my left knee because it's been overcompensating for my right knee. And
hmm
then I got to get my right knee stronger. So you're doing everything double.
Oh, weird. Okay, yeah,
And
huh,
so right, just like a weird thing you don't think about. But you're in the middle of that and it's just like, I mean, am I ever even going to get the chance to do this again? And so what a blessing that I was able to. I mean,
yeah,
you talk about gratitude for putting on your shoes, and that's something that like I think experientially the gratitude for putting on your shoes is something that is going to stick with me always, uh, beyond the injuries. um, just looking at what happened at like UVA. So I don't know if you remember in 2022 in November, there was a shooting there.
yes,
And
yeah,
five student athletes were shot, four football players and a track athlete. Three of the football players passed away. Um, and and when you put it in perspective of that, like getting to put your shoes on again, really, like it's gonna be okay, even if you don't,
yeah.
So
Yeah. Wow. I didn't put two and two together that you were there when when that happened. Um, man, what a like you said, kind of a way to put something in perspective when something like that happens. I mean, had you were you going through rehab at that point in time
No,
or
so I literally like I shared a testimony at FCA, and I read my journal because it was like we so just the entirety of the fact that I ended up at Northwestern also kind of funny, but we can touch on that in a little bit. But it was like,
yeah,
all right, on that was November 13th. The first home duel that we wrestled in was against Northwestern on November 18th. I tore my ACL on like the 25th. It was like a week from that day. So it was like 2 weeks
yeah,
after this had all gone down. And so, just a lot of reflection and making sense. You have that happen. It's like it's gonna be all right because there's a lot of
right.
other things that are going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it made for a really eye-opening experience.
Yeah. You know, when you were saying that like you had your second ACL and you were wondering like, gosh, am I going to be able to come back? So I'm wondering if like this past year being able to wrestle was just sort of maybe your most free year of college where you were just like, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just going to let it fly and this is just going to be fun and I'm excited just to wrestle because of where I've come from and how I've gotten here. Like I'm just this so maybe I don't know, was this maybe one of the most maybe not fun, but sort of, but also just like a relaxing year of just you have no pressure,
Yeah,
you know?
it definitely was. So like that fifth year when I came back, the like I was like, okay, I can do this. And I still felt like a lot of pressure that I still had to meet the expectations that I had when I was 18 years old, when I hadn't
Right.
had any injuries. And it was, the world was my oyster. And,
Yeah.
now there's a little more of reality that's kicked in. Um, and I still have this super like cool, vivid memory. The first duel, we were back, and I go out and I get to wrestle, and gosh, and I was borderline in tears before the match starts, just because I was
Wow.
able to be out there, right? And so I have to rein it in,
Yeah.
and I go and I win the match. But then after the match, um, like got a standing O, which was pretty cool, just because everyone that like all the Virginia people knew, right?
Hmm.
And then I go over and my
Wow.
teammates just swarm. Like I just get in the middle of this huge swarm. And it was like that was such a blessing to have such great teammates and people that were surrounding me. Like I don't know if I would be able to have competed again without the people that were around me, that support system. And then you walk into this year, and I like played around going down to 97. I got down to 97, and then like all of the injuries. The funny thing is I figured, oh, if I go down again, all my injuries are going to go away. That's not what happened. Um, and
Wow.
so like it just like my knees were getting feeling worse. My shoulder was coming out a little more often. Just having elbow issues too. And so then it was just like, okay. The coaches were gracious enough to let me go back up to heavyweight. So I was super undersized. Um, and then you step in, and it was literally just like, I'm so glad I just get to wrestle.
Yeah.
I get to wrestle. And yeah, you know what? I'm undersized, and it's gonna be hard, but it's wrestling, and wrestling's a hard sport, and it's gonna be okay. And I was just super blessed. And a lot of the guys in the Big Ten too are super friendly. They're just awesome guys, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you're wrestling your friends, and like, yeah, you know what? They win, I win, doesn't really matter. Like, because in 20 years, if I see them, it's literally gonna be like big hugs. What's up, dude? I haven't seen you in forever. How have you been? Right? It's
Yeah.
um And so, you think about like wrestling some of those matches, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go for the double overs throw, and if I don't get it, I'm gonna be okay. It's gonna be all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And if I do, then great. But that really did like eliminate the fear of winning, losing.
Yeah.
on a brand new level. So
Yeah. I remember I watched it was random because we were just sitting in the office and the Midlands were going on and you popped up and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were at Northwestern at this time." So I was like, "Hey, let's check it out." And yeah, you did appear a little undersized at Midlands, but it was still fun to like see you scrap, you know, being from Iowa, knowing that you're
yeah,
from Iowa and just kind of
yeah,
watching and just seeing like how cool it was just to have somebody from Iowa, at that stage. So, like I said, it was just kind of random that, we were just sitting in the
yeah.
office and the Midlands were on, and here's Gabe
Pops up,
Christenson. I'm
yeah,
like, oh, hey. So, what led you to Northwestern in the first place?
yeah. So like, I finished up master's degree at UVA last year, and at that point, um, you know, Garland and the Paulsons and Ian Parker was still there at that point.
Yeah.
You know, they just we were all talking and hey man, um, honestly we figured you'd be ready to be done. Um, so
Did you figure
which
you'd be ready? Did you figure you'd be ready to be done?
no, I wanted to keep
Okay.
going, and that was just a
Okay.
conversation that I didn't have with them, and I'm going to take full blame for it because there wasn't a good communication, and you don't know what time is the right time to bring that up, right? Of like, so what's the deal for next? You know what I mean? And so they were just like, we're going to support you however we can. If you want to keep wrestling, we will put in a good word wherever you're looking at.
Yeah.
And so then took some visits to some schools, and Northwestern just made the most sense um, across the board. And like, I really clicked with the coaches. The guys here have been awesome, and super blessed to be around them. It's a young team, and so I kind of got to step into an older leadership
Yeah.
role a little bit. And so you come here and like, man, we're on the lake right
Heck
now.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's some nice perks to it too. And great school, and that's something that is also important to me is having
Yeah.
a good education. So
Yeah. Shout out Coach Oliver. He's an awesome guy.
dude,
Um,
that guy
I
rocks.
yeah, I had him on and I saw him at NCAA's and was able to chat with him and his wife for a second and yeah, super awesome guy. So it's kind of nice to see you at Northwestern with him because yeah, I like that guy.
He has been one of the like best influential guys. I love the way he thinks about wrestling.
Yeah, right?
Like he makes it such a game, and like I'll be watching. Um, I still go to practice even though I'm not wrestling, right? But like I'm
Yeah.
still going to practice, and just to watch him like play through positions and never get tired doing it. It's just like it's so cool. It's
Yeah.
and then there'll be times where I'll go pick his brain, and then like it'll be literally him and I, and it's just like, all right, what would we do here? And I'm a lot bigger than him,
Hmm.
but he's still like gonna get in the positions and be like, okay, how would we figure this out? And so,
Huh.
um, as far as being a coach, I mean, he is by far one of the best coaches I've had, and want to give him a
Nice.
huge shout out. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. What did you go to Northwestern for? Like, did you go, like, are you getting another master's or yes?
yeah,
Okay.
yep. So I'm getting a master's in sports administration.
Nice. Okay.
Um,
So you're gonna have two masters.
yeah, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
Again,
Yeah.
a blessing that wrestling was able to be the driver for that. And obviously sports administration is pretty applicable to what we're invested in. but
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, no, I mean, my hope with that one day would be that just, I mean, with the nature of college sports and especially wrestling, it's like I would like to be in an office where I can stand up for the sport.
Yeah.
We see CBU, right? I'd like for somebody to stand up,
Yeah.
you know um and so that's just something where it's like, if you can be that person, be that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Someone in administration, because there's a lot of support from like, I don't want to make this sound the wrong way, but like the worker bees. Like there's a lot of support from us, but
Yeah.
like when you get to the higher where you maybe need more support, and that's where the really the big support comes from is administration. If you have that pull, you can survive a lot more. Um, but they just don't got it. They just don't have
Yeah.
it. It's
It sucks. You
yeah.
hate to see it. Yeah. No. Funny enough, I actually the heavyweight at CBU, Tristan, we went to FCA camp when he was still at West Virginia. So
Oh,
I see him,
really?
yeah, see him every now and again. He's an awesome dude. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just and then I had like Carter Schmidt, Iowa kid,
Yeah.
wrestled there, and I had a teammate at UVA that also went out there. So it just kind of sucks when it's like, man,
Right.
like we want to keep the sport growing, and it's just hard when you see that. So
Right. Yeah. And so like I'm out here at Air Force and our one of our assistant coaches, Elroy Perkin, was there
oh
for
yeah,
3 years.
yep,
So like, yeah, it crushed him, Luck like in hindsight, he was glad he took this job out here at Air Force because that he could be in that situation with them. Um, so like that was, I guess, a silver lining there. But yeah, I mean, it crushed him.
absolutely. I mean, you
So
just you never want to see that. But
yeah. And correct or remind me again of what FCA is. I'm trying to remember the acronym. But I can't quite. Tim Johnson and I talked about it, and he was kind of the one who opened my eyes to it. So what is FCA again?
it's Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Fellowship. Okay. I couldn't remember what the F was. I'm like, I know it's
Yeah,
Christian athletes, but is
yeah,
it like faith? But that just didn't sound right. But
yeah.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Okay. And is that a nationwide thing, or do like each schools have their chapter, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's kind of so FCA and then Athletes in Action are the two
Yeah,
major
Athletes in Action. I've heard of
players.
that too. Yep.
Yeah, two major players on college campuses. And as far as Northwestern goes, it's Athletes in Action. At UVA, they had FCA and
Okay.
AIA, so AIA Athletes in Action, and then Iowa was mainly Athletes in Action. And so you kind of get um, different across the board. A lot of times, the way I've had it explained is Athletes in Action is more so at the college level, and Fellowship of Christian Athletes is more at the high school level and serving that
Okay.
population.
Really?
Um, but yeah, nationwide, and it's just kind of cool, especially with Athletes in Action in Chicagoland. We have Northwestern student athletes who are involved, but then it's also students from DePaul and Roosevelt and other inner
Oh,
city
nice. Yeah.
schools. And so other athletes, would come together and get to be able to be in community. And that's something that I'm super grateful for. So
Yeah. Um, one thing what I just thought of was Northwestern and like their field hockey team and like their softball team. Like they have some good other athletics. Have you gone, like, did you go to a lacrosse game or I guess field hockey, sorry. Did you go watch the women's field hockey or anything like
I
that?
didn't get to watch women's field hockey, but I mean, they're like all of the sports are just, I mean, next level. It's
Yeah.
which is so cool to be around. Like, um, thinking about like some of the friends, the basketball team is always really solid. And then women's basketball is solid. Lacrosse, like I think they're ranked number one right now, or near the top for women's lacrosse.
Really?
Yeah, field hockey they won. Trying to think, like some of the other sports, softball's doing really well.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're just like being at schools that have had a lot of other athletic success is something that I'm super grateful for because it spills over into the community. And the same thing with UVA, like the women's swim team there, they had like 5 Olympians on the team, when
Really?
we're there. And so it's just like, yeah, you go hang out and there's just Olympians walking around the facility and then you have that and that
Yeah.
culture always seeps over into other sports and it raises the bar. And that's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah. I feel like their lacrosse team is pretty
Also
solid
really
too.
good.
And
Yes.
yeah. And were you there when their men's basketball team?
I wasn't. That was 2019, but that
Okay,
was, yeah.
gotcha. I was wondering, but yeah, okay.
So
Anyway, their football team was good this year, right?
yeah,
They won
they
an
were.
ACT title.
They, they got second. They lost to Duke.
Oh, they got lost to Duke. You're right. Dang it. Whoops,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Anyways.
yeah. Um, so we're we're kind of going in reverse here.
Yeah, let's
Um,
go in reverse.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go all the way back to kind of you growing up and like growing up as the son of Jason, was that a big was that like a big stigma? Did you have to like kind of almost build your own path in a sense, like get out of his shadow? Not intentionally. It's not like it's not
Yeah,
like your dad
right.
purposely made this blanket over you, but or the shadow, but because of who he is.
Yeah. Um, I mean, maybe that would be the case. I would never consider it that. So like, I think the last time that my dad actually coached me was like sixth grade.
Really?
Yeah. And we had tried a little bit when I first got to high school. And we like sixth grade, it was like he was like, I don't want this to become a sour relationship, so I'm gonna hand you off. And I
Hmm.
appreciated that so much. And then, we got to high school and we're in the same room again, uh, and he kind of tried to step in, and I was not receptive to it because I was what 14 years old and I thought I
Right.
knew everything.
Of
Um,
course. Yeah.
and and so then, he was receptive to that and handed me off to Jessamine Smith. If you remember him, two-time
Yeah.
All-American for the Hawks, and so he really shaped my wrestling for the most part. But my dad, something that I'm so grateful for was that he wasn't so hands-on that I hated the sport. Um,
Hmm.
and I never felt the pressure that I had to wrestle. It was just always that I wanted to wrestle and I wanted to be around my dad, right? Like you have a
Right.
dad he's always in the wrestling room, so I want to hang out with my dad. I'm gonna go to the wrestling room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and it's just super cool to see the way he led in real time, right? Like
Hmm.
before that, it was like dad's a coach and whatever. And I think
Yeah.
all the guys on the team are rock stars, and I'm glad I get to go to practice. And then, when you're in it, and all of a sudden you make a mistake as a high school kid, and then it's your dad who very well could, in front of everybody or at home, make a fool of you, but doesn't,
Hmm.
and shows you what it means to be a great leader. Um, that like some of those things just stick with you, and obviously I hope that everybody gets to have a mentor like that. But I've been definitely blessed with having the dad that I do. So
Yeah. Did you realize like when did it kind of start dawning on you that he is, like when people say Jason Christensen, like that name carries weight. Like was there a moment or were there like times when you started to realize like, wow, okay, like he's not like to me he's dad, but to other
yeah,
people he's like they put him on like kind of this pedestal?
yeah. I think, gosh, what would it? I think it would have been kind of like around junior, senior year of high school.
Oh,
Obviously,
really?
well, and it was mainly because it was the guys that I had wrestled with would come back and just talk so highly of it. And
Hmm.
it's like these guys that, when I was a freshman, you know, um, I'm really looking up to, and freshman, sophomore, and then they're just speaking so highly of them. And so you think about, that freshman year, like Gavin Babcock, who plays professional disc golf now. Just absolute,
Really?
yeah, he's rocking it. Um, like just awesome dude. And he'd be like, you don't realize how much your dad shaped, my view of wrestling in the world and how to work hard. And then, Cody Wonderlick, who, played football at Central College. And him just talking about, hey, this is what shaped me to be able to be a great football player was because of what, and kind of like, oh, my dad's had an impact on a lot of people,
Hmm.
which is really cool. And in a lot of ways, that's a high bar because you
Yeah.
know I want to be able to impact young men the same way. And I think that because of the way that he kind of showed me this was providing me a way to be able to know, hey, this is what I can do, and this is how impactful this really is.
Yeah. What about your mom? Was she just along for the ride, or was she also as heavily invested in the sport, as the rest of the family?
My mom is a rock star. My mom, like like unsung hero or coaches' wives, and my
Yeah.
mom is just genuinely one of the most selfless people I have ever met in my entire life. Um, she would be so invested because she knew that my dad cared and I cared, so she cared.
Hmm.
And she has done everything in her power so far to make sure that both of us can succeed. And I mean, she's seriously just a saint. And I can't speak well enough of her because, I mean, when I tore my ACL the first time, she flew out to make sure that I needed, like anything that I needed, she was there. Right. And, in high school, driving driving me to practice and making sure the food we had food for whatever, and it was like my dad would be like, hey, this is kind of the stuff that Gabe needs to be eating before I really understood what I need to be eating, and she'd go
Yeah.
out and get it and make it, and never complained, just always showed up and was present and cared. And
Hmm.
like that is, I mean, everyone always tells me like you got to marry well, and my dad definitely married well. So
Yeah. Yeah. Was she involved? Like, did she know much about wrestling? Do you know? Like, was her background? Did she do any sports or anything, or was she just?
yeah, she played basketball and she swam
Oh,
a
okay.
little bit and played volleyball, but like she was never into wrestling. It was never like um it was never something that was on her radar. And my mom and dad met both after they were well out of college.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you look at that and it's like, they met because my dad played rugby after college. And
Really?
yes,
Huh.
and his we think it would have been his teammate was dating my mom's sister, and so then they all would hang out after the games, and then
Yeah.
that's how my mom met my dad. So
Huh. And she probably had no idea what she was signing up for, did she?
she had no idea what she was signing up for. She had not a clue.
So you're from everywhere I've seen you're from Runnels,
Yeah,
right? Where is
yeah.
Runnels?
Okay, so I'll give you a little Southeast Polk history lesson here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, not that anybody asked, but so the Rams,
Yep.
um, the original towns were Runnels, Altoona, and Mitchellville.
Oh,
So,
okay.
all right.
Yep.
Um, so as to where the high school is now, um, it's if you just head like 5 minutes east on I-80.
Yeah.
It's like technically our address is Runnels. It's just as much Pleasant Hill, which is now part of the South Polk School District, as Runnels.
Yeah.
But Runnels is a really small town, and it's about 10 minutes down the road from our house, and that's where the township is.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I always say Runnels, Iowa, because nobody knows where it is. And I mean, not that anybody really knows where Pleasant Hill is either, but
Right, right.
like,
But like when I see Pleasant Hill, like I just automatically assume, Southeast Polk. But I love the Runnels. Like that's why I wanted to ask about it was because like, yeah, show some pride to those small towns, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, like
so
seriously, yeah, you come from a small town, like you come from Iowa, it's like, yeah, I want the small town to be able to get a shout out. So
yeah, yeah. Is that where like you grew up? I mean, or did you like where did you grow up?
I grew up in Altoona, so just like 10
Okay.
minutes, yeah, 10 minutes away. And so it was just kind of funny because it was like just that suburb of Des Moines area. When we first moved in there, our house was the edge of town.
Hmm.
And then by the time we moved out, it was like 2 miles of just like
Yeah.
housing, right? It was just, yeah, ridiculous.
Did you have season passes to Adventureland or what?
Oh, dude, yeah, obviously. Dude, I was oh my gosh, I was going to Adventureland as many times as I could. I mean, it was, oh
Really?
my gosh. Oh yeah. Well, and then you're in sixth grade. That's the cool thing to do is you go to Adventureland with the boys, right? But yeah, that's just how
Um,
it is.
in sixth grade, it was I rode my bike around town.
Yeah.
with the guys.
Oh yeah.
It's funny. Adventureland with the boys, sixth grade.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
How much were season
Um,
passes? Like, I'm curious now.
I don't even know what they were.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because like we would get season passes to the pool, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. But um, yeah, no, and like I saw you had Aaron Meyer on,
Oh
um,
yeah, yeah.
and like
Dr. Aaron Meyer.
Dr. Aaron Meyer, and then also everyone in that family's a doctor, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Dr. Aaron, Dr. Alex, Dr. Todd, like they're all doctors.
Yeah. And yeah, it's his mom? No, no, not his mom. Yeah, but Alex is out in Durham, isn't he?
Yep, he's at Duke. I mean, I can't think of a like that is an amazing family. Meyer family is they're wonderful people. So yeah, it was cool to see you had Aaron on.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just I don't know what made me think of Aaron Mile. Like sometimes I just see people and I remember them, like kind of like yourself. Like, hey, I remember Gabe Christenson. Like just being as a follower of the sport, you know, and
Mhm.
it's just like, hey, wonder what he's up to, and
Yeah,
like let's see what's going on and how we got to where he is. So it's been kind of fun to just see a lot of different people's perspectives. Like Aaron Meyer went to Palmer
yeah,
chiropractor school. Like I didn't realize he tore his ACL.
mhm.
I think he tore his ACL. Is that what he said? Yeah. And that
Sounds
also
right.
that yeah, and that helped shape his chiropractic mindset a little bit is, oh, this is what these people are going through.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, no,
and
and like, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say you were old, you were younger than him, so you weren't quite on the same team as him, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just gonna say like, you never know where the conversation's gonna go, when we hop on and it's just funny because it's like it could end up being like I had no idea. I was like, okay, you know, who knows? Because I figured, okay, probably talk about, my dad at Doan. And obviously I want to give a shout out to him right now with what he's
Yeah,
doing.
no, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
And which is just so awesome. I figured, maybe some Sally's Polk stuff. Honestly, like I was like, as soon as I tell you sports administration, if we get into like NIL transfer portal stuff, I can yap on that for out, right? So you
Really?
never know. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's a soapbox, but that just with the way that that's going right now,
Yeah.
or talk about FCA or you just never know, and so it's just cool and it's like it's just felt pretty natural and flow and kind of gone through there, but yeah, no, you just never know.
Yeah. Well, so I lived in Omaha for 8 years,
Hmm.
longer than that. Oh, geez, I'm losing my timeline. It's been probably 12 years. 12 years.
Yeah,
I've lived in Omaha for 12 years. So when Doan got that job, I was like, oh, cool. And I know there's a couple guys floating around Omaha that like were seemingly good fits maybe for that job. And all of a sudden, yeah, here comes Jason Christensen. And I was like, wait a second, didn't you like quit coaching? Not quit coaching, but like, you
yeah,
step back from Southeast Polk and all of a sudden now you're back and I'm like, it was a curveball that I did not see coming,
yeah.
honestly. So, I mean, did you talk to him about it much? Or how did you kind of figure out that that was something he was interested in? Because I mean, he'd been living in Runnels,
Yeah,
for how long? So,
yeah. Oh man. So like his whole thing was after I graduated high school, he wanted to be able to um, follow me and
right.
in my career. Super appreciative. Again, really great dad move. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Um, and so when this came up, it was like, I mean, that guy loves Greco more than anybody I've ever met.
Really. Yeah.
And so he was like, the only way I would want to get back into coaching, and he was still involved. Like he still was still doing Iowa USA wrestling stuff,
Oh,
and
right. Yeah.
still
Yeah.
like he still was involved. He just wasn't at the helm of a high school program. And so, uh, but when this opportunity came up, he was like, I have to at least put it out there. And it was like,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
college, Greco, like, I mean, it was like a no brainer to at least give it a shot. And, um, in very typical fashion, he just dove right in. and um, and he's done it. Honestly, like part of the reason that I look so highly at my father as a wrestling figure is because I watched him coach. He kind of was willing to step back from coaching me, and then watching him step into this new role and just over exceed. I mean, I think he was supposed to have like, I think their goal for year one, like calendar year one, he started on June 1st, was to have 15 athletes that included with the folk style team. So you could have guys in the folk style team that were also technically on the grid.
Okay.
He's got like 30 something right now,
Wow.
right? He's got 30 something athletes that are getting to compete overseas. He's taking all of his kids to compete in, any tournament that he can get into. He's getting to the OTC when they can. Um, and he's setting up like he's just setting up this program to hopefully continually be successful.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's what I want to do is just I don't need I again such you know such an awesome thing to hear your dad and the leaders say. He goes, I don't care if I really get to see the fruit, like the total fruit of this labor,
Correct. Yeah.
but I want to know that when it's passed off, that somebody is able to just fly,
Yeah.
right? And most of the time you hear, I want to be the one who gets the glory. I want to be the one, and I mean anyone in coaching knows that's just not the case. But like
Yeah.
to hear him say, "No, I want to set somebody up so well that like that they're gonna have to try and fail, like genuinely, like
Yeah.
throw everything out the window, right? Like the systems are in place, the kids are in place, the relationships with donors, administration, staff, parents, the kids on the team, all in place so that Greco can help grow and
Yeah.
be something that the United States thrives in again. I mean, it was something that they were so good at for so long, and he has the biggest heart to see it grow again. So,
I love it because, like, we have a guy on our team, Soren Herzog, who's a two-time world team member,
yep,
and so like there are guys out there, Carter Nagel, um, All-American, and part of the reason why is because
just awesome kids, dude.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and so like he's going and he's wrestling Greco, like that's his thing. Like there are kids out there that are talented that want to do Greco, but like it's so like wrestling's already niche, freestyles more niche,
Yeah,
and Greco is like the niche and niche. So it's
yeah,
so hard to, but there are kids out there. Joel Adams is another one that just came to mind.
mm,
Like
yeah,
yeah, but they just don't have anywhere to go.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
No,
and real quick shout out to your mom. Once again, I mean, she's just like, sure, let's move and go to Doan. I forget where Doan is. Is it in Crete?
great. Yeah,
Crete, yeah. And she's just like, okay.
yeah. We're doing it again,
Woo.
again. That's when I say all-star mom. I got one.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
The,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then to see just like at Doan, I mean, again, a really cool thing that they're willing to support Greco and
Correct. Yeah.
get it,
Right.
get a college education, and then I mean, like honestly, you go and when my dad first got there, he was like, I just need you to come see it. Like I know what you're thinking, right? You've been at these really big, awesome D1 schools. Just come see it.
Mhm.
And it's a beautiful little campus. They've got a really nice room. They've got two rooms technically. They've got their women's freestyle room and then their folk style room.
Mhm.
And then they're going to be getting a new facility here, and that
Really?
I think they're going to be getting. I don't remember if they're going to have three rooms or if the freestyle room is going to also be like a freestyle Greco room that's just bigger.
Mhm.
But to see a school support women's freestyle, men's folk style, and men's Greco
Wow.
is really awesome from an administrative
Yeah.
standpoint. And so, uh, you know, as far as like wrestling goes, yeah, something that is a personal philosophy is like, right, we have a sport that's a means to an end, right? Wrestling provides the life skills to be able to be disciplined, to stay motivated, to succeed in the real world, to learn how to lead well, to be able to be the person that can be relied on, right? All things that
Hmm.
happen in the sport of wrestling. Um, and then you get a college degree that opens the door, right? And so, especially nowadays, college degree doesn't always mean you have the job that you planned on, but it's going to open a door
Hmm.
and to provide an opportunity for men and women on all styles of the sport. Just I think is really cool. So wanted to shout that out while I'm on
Yeah.
because I think it's awesome, and yeah, so
Yeah. And last, I want to touch on that too, because something just came to mind when you said that. But at the state tournament, the high school, Nebraska high school state tournament last year, yeah, last year, every participant got a Doan, like a little Doan thing for their bag that said, like, on the back, I think it said like state qualifier, but on the other side, it said Doan University. And I thought that was like, we were talking about, it, I think, as a staff, because I coached there for a year
mm,
at high school, and like, what great marketing that is. I mean, I don't know how much that costs, but probably didn't cost a whole heck of a
it
lot,
can't
but
cost that much, right?
no,
Yeah,
but everybody got one. And so, and everybody had it on display like it was pride, and there was Doan everywhere because of
yeah.
that. So, like, I don't know if your dad was part of that, but that was really smart on whoever's part that was.
I don't think that was him,
Yeah.
but that was good marketing.
Yeah.
Go go Doan.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, like, also what you said about the means to an end with wrestling, and like it gives us a chance to get an education. I was just thinking about like the the colleges that have wrestling, like really prominent institutions have wrestling. Like we're in a pretty nice spot where like Ivy Leagues have wrestling, Northwestern, Stanford, like really good institutions with really high academic standards have a sport for us.
Yeah,
Like that's kind of nice.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
we got like an in almost.
yeah. There is. I mean, there isn't it.
Yeah.
And you look at the kids who wouldn't otherwise be able to go to school, and then they get a chance to go to Harvard,
To Virginia. Virginia is a really difficult school to
right?
get into. Isn't that really high academic?
Yeah, it's a high academic school, and so it's like, I mean, listen, again, I am nowhere special as far as intelligence goes, but if anyone would have gone off of my test scores in high school, I wouldn't have even sniffed an application for Northwestern, right?
Yeah.
But because of wrestling, there's an open door to show that I have a work ethic. I am able to do
Hmm.
this. And then I'm able to be a part of something. And that's something that I'm just passionate about, being able to give others,
Yeah.
right? Because I know there's so many that are equally, if not more, invested and they want the opportunity. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely something that's pretty cool about the sport.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Going through your high school career a little bit here, like, I mean, did you have some success as you were younger, like because of not because of who your dad is, but because of the knowledge he was able to maybe like kind of bestow onto you that, you were maybe a little bit ahead of the curve in that aspect, that you had just better training at a younger age than some kids? Is that
Mhm.
if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, this is where I'm just gonna give out the shout out to Jessamine because he seriously was the one, like, you know, youth star phenom, not me. I did not win an AAU state title, right? Like, and I placed twice. Um, and
Were you doing other sports during this time?
yeah, I was.
Okay.
Um, but I get into high school and like after that eighth grade year, and I just started working with Jessamine. I mean, seriously, like if you ask, if you call actually anybody from like my time
Yeah.
before, they will give you horror stories of
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 what?
of wrestling with Jessamine. And just like Willie has this story where Willie Nicholas,
Yeah.
he has a story where Jessamine walks in and Willie saw him walk in and he was a little bit behind him. And so then he goes and he goes locker room and he changes and he comes to the restroom. And Justin's standing in his stance with the lights off on the line. It's like no
Why
shoes
are the
on,
lights off? Why are
just
the lights off?
I get right. Like because it's scary and he could like, and so he turned on the lights and Willie goes, honestly, he may have been there all night. I might have been hallucinating, I don't know. And so it's just a funny story, but like, I mean, yeah, no, that's what it'd be is you get up and part of the reason that I think Sally's Bulk saw some success, obviously, my dad was a head coach and I think Jessamine never always got the shout out that he deserved, but like rain or shine, whether anybody was in there or not, 6 a.m. he'd be in there waiting for somebody.
Jeez.
Um, and so, you know, knowing that, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna take advantage of that. Um, and so, we'd be in there 6 a.m. and I would get my butt handed to me every morning at 6 a.m. and and shoot, that was just the way it was because, you know, I wanted to be great. And I knew that a pathway to doing that was being with Jasmine. And I mean, he shaped so much of how I wrestle and how I thought about wrestling. And yeah, so then like kind of sharing those moments with him were really special. And I mean we still chat and all the things and have a good relationship. And so
Yeah.
those those mornings bonded us for sure.
Did you surprise yourself then a little bit when you got on the podium as a freshman?
Um, Not really, just because like Jasmine instilled it. Like, yeah, you could be there. You belong here.
Yeah.
You belong with every one of these guys. Um, and that was always, the belief that he instilled was like, you always belong here because you've put in the work. Um, and so, like the quick walkthrough is like, I was happy to be on the podium freshman year. And
Right.
and I believed I could be there, but like I was happy to be there, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Um, in the sophomore year, I was devastated that I didn't win, and that was, a good bracket, right? And that was the year before they started seeding it. And so the guy, it was first, third, fourth, I think fifth, and well, I don't know if eighth or something, but we're all on one side of the bracket. So, you know,
And they
um,
seeded, you said this was the first year they seeded it, right?
they didn't see, this is the
Oh, they
last year they
did.
didn't. This is the
Last year
last year
they
that they
did.
didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I lost to Tyrell Gordon twice. And he wrestled at UNI for a couple of years, and he was an NCAA qualifier, super tough competitor, and
Yeah.
um, but yeah, and then junior year was kind of like we go and my expectation was I'm gonna win,
Yeah.
um, and then um, and I did, and that was great. And then senior year, like after I'd committed to Iowa, it was kind of like, you know what, everybody wanted their best for me, and I definitely felt that. And I had put probably a far too much amount of pressure on myself during that time, but still was able to get the job done. And
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, and like I I enjoyed it. It was a good experience. Um, and then that kind of like leads into college. And as far as mindset goes, and that was really hard to wrestle with, like internally. And something that I always tell guys,
What was really hard to wrestle with internally?
like, okay, I was the guy,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden I'm not the guy. And
Yep.
then all of a sudden I get hurt and I don't have the same body anymore. And like that was, you know, it's just hard because I had such a level of expectation
Hmm.
when when I left high school, um, of what I was going to achieve. And I think that's a normal thing for a lot of guys. Um, but you go and uh, I'm super grateful for my time in Iowa and the experiences that I had and what I learned there. But I realized I just didn't make the right choice of where I needed to be, and so I did something about it, right? Um, and then you go, and then it was like, okay, I'm behind Jay Aiello here. He's gonna graduate. I'll step in the lineup. Things are gonna be good, right? I was wrestling really tough, and then next year I do, and then I get hurt,
Hmm.
and then Okay, Vision Quest, like we talked about. And the
Yep.
next year, I get hurt. And then now all of a sudden, it's like, it's your fifth year, and it's the first time I've been able to have a full season. Um,
Yeah.
and so mentally, like, I look back now and I'm like, dude, where did the time go? Because all like I mean, I still remember, scrapping with new assistant coach Jacob Warner, and like he's an awesome dude and just a fierce competitor. And now all of a sudden it's like he's the assistant coach. I'm in my sixth year. What happened? You know? Uh, and so like wrestling through like it's not about only the results um, was something that I really, really had to do. But you think about, I mean, if you think about the guys that you've interviewed, I'm sure, a lot of them are awesome dudes who have come on and told great stories. And that's such a blessing and so cool that you're doing that and that you're allowing, me and others to be able to do that. But, you look at them and it's like, these are good people. And this is why I like having them on.
Pretty much.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Right? Like,
I got going, like I started doing this. I'm like, God, he's a good dude. He was a good dude. He was, and like I just kept saying it after every interview, like, okay, like everyone's just a good dude, or a good woman, because I've had females on here too. But
yeah.
like, yeah, not to interject, but yeah, pretty much.
Right. And so again, it means to an end, it's like in 20 years, nobody's going to be able to take away. And this is the beautiful thing about the sport of wrestling. This is why I love the sport of wrestling. Is right. It was only you out there, and nobody can take away what you did. But no matter what you did, I would much rather you be an amazing human being um, who's serving in the community and leading others well than if you were a national champion, because that's really great. But if you don't treat people well and you aren't actively making the world a better place, or at
Hmm.
least, in an effort to do so, um, then that just kind of sucks. I mean, just like straight up, like
Yeah,
that just
pretty
kind of
much. Yeah.
sucks, you know? So that's part of where it's like, hindsight, what God did through these 6 years, I can't help but be grateful, even though I never reached that, you know, podium in March. And it's just like the reality is if I let the fact that I did or didn't get a little wooden plaque with some metal on it in March define the rest of my life, I missed the mark, and that's something that's really important because that striving for a goal is amazing and absolutely everybody should have it. But if you can't step away from it and realize who you are and who your identity is outside of that is has no tie because like your mom and dad love you not because of any award. Like I think one of the favorite examples that I've ever seen is like when a little kid picks up their crayons and they draw something. They draw the sun and mom and dad and them, right? And you bring it to their parents. And it's like, look what I did,
Hmm.
right? And the parent is always gonna be like, yeah, you did a great job.
Yeah.
Right? No, no, no good parent is gonna be like, you know, that sucks. So you should toss that. Um, and the reality is like the people that are around you that truly love you are going to love you regardless of any accolade that you achieve. They're going to love you because the person that you are. Um, and so the awards are great, and they definitely open up an opportunity to be able to tell stories and share
Mhm.
how you grow and do amazing things. But the thing that I'm rooted in that I want others to be rooted in is that your identity just is not in the fact that you won or lost a match, right? So
Yeah.
that's something that's been big in my life and been big that I try and share with others.
Yeah. And I appreciate you saying that because I feel as if you could have a lot of resentment. You could feel some type of way about how this whole career played out. Like, and no one would really blame you for it. Yeah, if you held on to it for 20 years, that'd be one thing. But like, I mean, it just sort of just ended. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, in this moment, like I would not have blamed you if you were sitting here kind of mad, kind of resentful of the sport, kind of wanting to like distance from it because of all the time and energy and effort you put in, and this is what you got out of it?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm just curious how you are in this place that you're in and have this mindset when, you know, somebody else who might be listening is going, gosh, I feel the exact opposite because of I didn't achieve of what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm gonna try and keep this as concise as possible because this could be a very long conversation. But I mean, for starters, one, I was upset. I was really upset. And that's a normal, natural human emotion. But when it comes all the way back to faith, I look at biblically, who does God say that I am? And I'm going to root myself in that because no matter what, um, again, my identity doesn't lie in what I do, right?
Mhm.
I think one of my favorite things from one of my favorite lessons of Genesis 1 is we're called human beings, not human doings, right? Your identity is not in what you do, it is in the fact that you were made as God's child. Um, and that's a great place to start, right?
Yeah.
Just as we go. But the other thing too is like I look at what happened over the time and it would be so easy. But then I look back and it's like, no, but this shaped me into who I am. And my heart at 18 was to be a national champion. Whereas my heart at now 24, I want to serve others. And so if by that, property that somebody else is able to learn that it's going to be hard and it's going to be okay. And you were made with emotions that are very logically implanted, use them wisely, but don't let them overtake you. Right. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
that's a good lesson in itself biblically too, of you're more than you're more than your accolades, you're more than just your emotions. Um, and then, we go back to the experience at UVA with the passing of the athletes and my friends. Um, and I remember so vividly that and and it was a scary time. And again, perspective, like some of my friends lost their lives. So to tie your shoes and put on an ankle band and shake hands and be worried about wins and losses, it doesn't quite compare. Um, and even to that point, and this is something that I wanted to touch on too, is one of the people who survived. His name is Mike Collins. He was a running back, and his nickname was Iron Mike because he was probably 5'9", 5'10". If I'm undercutting his height here, I'm sorry, but he's not super tall for running back, and probably about 195 pounds. I mean, he's just a tank. Um, he is one of the most amazing dudes that I've ever met, and the most courageous man I've ever met. Um, and he survived that night. Um, he was going through, I don't remember how long his surgeries were and how many. He had multiple surgeries. I think it was like 12 hours or so of surgery. Um, and comes back still open about his faith, open about his wrestling with God of why did this happen. But but he didn't transfer because he was like, these guys need me here to show them that we're more than what happened to us. And then he rehabbed and came back and played football again. He played football again. And like, I mean, if I start crying here, forgive me, but I remember watching him just like run onto the field and score it. My friend very well probably should have been dead, you know, not less than a year ago. And he's the one carrying the flag out on the field. It's going to be okay.
Dang, yeah.
Um, and so, you look at
Wow.
that and, and just those testimonies and those stories, um, the resentment is fair. It's okay. It's okay to not like sport. I was pretty upset too the last time I took my shoes off,
Mhm.
but to step back and say, I got to do this. And there are a lot of people who don't. Um, there are a lot of people who would give anything to, for the first time, strap their shoes on. My aunt, another one of the other things that I look to for motivation and encouragement is my aunt teaches special needs students, and bless her soul. One of the kids that we worked with was named Gunner. He has cerebral palsy, um, and something about him was that he loved wrestling. I mean, I think he loved wrestling more than most guys who ever wrestle. Like he just absolutely loves the sport. Um, and I remember my dad sharing a story before practice. He goes, and Gunnar was sitting over there, and he points at him, and he's like, "That's a kid who would give anything in your shoes to run out under the lights and shake hands and wrestle 6 minutes just one time. He would give his entire life to be able to get to do that." And you think about that, and it's like wins and losses kind of go out the door. And I'm just more worried about, did I compete with all of my heart and all of my soul and honor God in a way of how I compete and honor those who have come before and who will go after, that look to you as an example. So I know that got pretty real there, but it's a real sport, and
Right.
and it's the realest. I mean, honestly, like, so keeping all those things in mind is something that I encourage others to remember, because everybody's got that. I mean, not everybody's going to have the experiences that I have had, um, and thankfully, um, because it's really hard to walk through all that,
Mhm.
some of that stuff. But I know that everybody has somebody that they can turn to and say, whether it be your dad or a friend or somebody else that they can turn to and say, if you're the only reason I tie my shoes today, then you're the only reason I tie my shoes today, but I'm gonna go out and give it my all because you are the only reason that I tie my shoes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. I think a small part that I took out of there was also that, you did feel the resentment. Like you're not immune to that either. Like,
yeah,
it's just how you dealt with that resentment was with these experiences that you've had, because it's okay to feel that and to have that emotion. Like we're not saying that you're weak or that you shouldn't feel resentment, but you know, keeping it in perspective of life in general helps you move past that a little bit quicker.
yeah,
And wow, yeah, you've had quite some experiences,
yeah,
and to be like the person that you are, it's pretty, I don't want to say remarkable because I don't want it to sound like it's special. You were just a good person and you just have happened to have some things happen, and here you are at Northwestern. Like,
yeah,
you've,
yeah.
yeah, I don't
Yeah. I mean, that's
know. Like,
that's like that's real life. And I mean, shoot, I said this to my mom a couple weeks back, but it was like, they tell you that college is supposed to prepare you for real life. I feel pretty prepared.
I'd say.
So
Speaking of that, what is kind of next for life for Gabe?
yeah, so that's the $1 million question. I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure that out. I am interested in getting into coaching and
Okay.
would love
High
would love
school
to
or
serve
college, or do you have
college.
a college? Okay.
Yep. Would love to serve kids in that capacity, especially as this I look and see, you know, this is the first time that kids are really on their own. They start to take shape, and it's not what mom and dad said, and it's not the high school community. It's like you kind of just get to become who you're going to be,
Yeah.
right? And so get to be able to serve kids in that space and lead them and show them, hey, this is what I've learned in my experience. And I think, the funny thing about being a college coach is that a lot of people can coach wrestling moves, but not a lot of people can care for students well. Um,
100%.
and so that's where I think the money's made is you see the guys who care for their student athletes well, and those are the kids that walk away with the best experiences, regardless of accolades. And so, you know, being able to step in, serve those students, and then ideally get them as far as they can go in the sport, and then be able to say without a doubt, the kids that walk out of that room are prepared to step into whatever aspect of life that they step into. Um, that's kind of where I'm looking right now. Just as far as like athletic administration goes, a lot of I, again, I don't write my story and I don't write it very well, even if I did. But if I was going to be in an AD's office, a lot of them want coaching experience. Um, and then, so yeah, there's your fun fact. To be
Yeah.
a lead administrator, they want coaching experience because they want you to
Sure.
know what it's like, right? Understandably, I would hope
Yeah.
so. Um, and so um, after that, looking and being able to step in for universities that have wrestling and advocate for them and advocate really just for all Olympic sports and both men's and women's because with nature of NIL and rev share and the portal right now, they need an advocate and they need somebody standing up for them, and that's something that I really would like to do at some point or another. And as far as that, like means to an end, education and then being prepared. My undergrad was in education. So I got an undergrad in education. I got a master's in commerce, so business from UVA, and I'm getting a master's in sports admin. So ideally, I'd like to be able to you just throw me whatever industry and I'll figure it out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But just knowing how much I care about the youth and kids and how much sports resonate and how much sports teaches. And then along with that, I also have the business skills to be able to step into an office and say, I understand this and I also
Mhm.
understand the sports. And so let's make this the best experience for student athletes as we
Yeah.
possibly can. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. I mean, dude, if you asked me what's next, oh my gosh, I could tell you that. I could tell you I would love to go into ministry overseas at some point. I could tell you I want to own a coffee shop. Like I love coffee, dude. Um, I mean, there's so many different things. Like I'm definitely a dreamer where it comes to
Yeah.
if it comes up in my mind, I'm gonna at least play it through, you know.
I bet I wouldn't be surprised if in like 10 or 20 years, all three of those have probably happened at some point.
I know,
Like,
right?
yeah,
Like,
you
uh,
know. I was just thinking also, there's it's a slim chance because of not because, but there's a slim chance, but there's potential that you could be your dad's boss if Doan needed an athletic director and all of a sudden you became the AD there, you could be your dad's boss. How cool would that be?
that would be terrible. I would just say no.
No?
Nope. Nope.
No?
Sorry, Dad. No, that doesn't feel right. He I mean, I looked at him for so much. I mean, for me to even have a quote
Hey,
unquote
I'm in.
position, I'd be like, you know what, just give him the job, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man. I was wondering, you know, when you transferred to Virginia, I feel like it was was it mid-season?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So with the portal, I did one full calendar year at Iowa, and I gave it a shot, and I was kind of like, okay, you know what, I this isn't for me. Um,
Yeah.
and the coaching staff, again, um, they were super understanding, and they were like, this isn't for everyone, and we know that, and we're sorry that it didn't pan out. And so one thing that I'm hopefully going to do is be able to talk to them and let them know how grateful I am for my experience. And obviously, it's kind of weird as you exit out and you're still competing to be able to do that. But you see all the hate online, or at least I had kind of with the brands and the way that I'm like, dude, they finished with 7 AAs. Like they did fine, you know. And I am super grateful for my time. And again, about resentment, like if you would have asked, you know, 19-year-old me, I'm sure I would have told you I resented Iowa and I hated everything about it. Um,
Yeah.
but but now you look at it, and it's like, no, I'm so glad that that was the experience. And where was I going with that? Iowa. What was the question? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So you kind of transferred
Oh, mid-season. Yeah.
mid-season
Okay.
because
There we go.
when does the portal? Because I'm like, is the portal open?
So the portal open. Well, at this point, like the portal was like always open.
Okay,
So this is before they had changed the rule. So the portal was always
gotcha.
open. But if I would have transferred in at the beginning of the semester, then I would have lost the full year. And because I would have transferred um, like in the same calendar year that I was at a different university, but because I started school in the spring term, um, then I didn't lose it because it was technically 2022 that I
Okay,
transferred in. Um, and at that point, I just didn't know if like some of the schools I was looking at, they were like, you're gonna step in right away and you're gonna wrestle. Um, and so then that was kind of hard because it was like I knew at Virginia I was gonna be behind Jay, and but then at other schools it was like, okay, well, I might be the guy. So it was kind of hard of like, do I rush a decision or do I try to make the best decision for me? Um,
yeah.
and Coach Garland and the Paulsons, and at that point it was Jack Mueller. Um, they were super understanding, and they were like, "Dude, yeah, we just gotta get you here. We just want you here."
Hmm.
Um, and so with that, like a great coaching staff, but they accommodated and made it work. So
Hmm. How did you know you wanted to go to Virginia,
so funny,
or that they were like that they were an option? Because
yeah,
I don't know. At this point, like I didn't know what you were thinking.
yeah, for sure. So as far as that goes, like again, funny stories of schools that I go to. But when I was in sixth grade, my dad took me to my first overnight wrestling camp. It was with Trent and Travis Paulson, and I loved the way they taught. I loved their systems. I loved how they operated with kids. I loved just the way that they were doing everything. And so I told my dad in sixth grade, I was like, I want to wrestle for that. And when they were at Iowa State, that was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Iowa State,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. And then Iowa State cleared house, and so then you know in high school the top two were Iowa and Iowa State, and Iowa because I just always loved Iowa and grew up wearing Hawkeye breeches, and you know how it is like.
Hmm.
But then Iowa State, you've got an all-star class of Hawkeyes now leading the Cyclones, and I was kind of like, okay, maybe this makes sense. And it was just hard because I also like my aunt, same aunt as I mentioned earlier,
Hmm.
she was super good friends with Mike Zadek, who was, on staff at the time. And so then it's like, I've got Mike who, you know, again, awesome dude. And he was the kind of coach where if you said jump, I'd say how high,
Hmm.
and so that was a serious pull to Iowa State. And then, all that happened, which was unfortunate, just the way that that all panned out. But he left staff, and so then that kind of made the decision harder. Um, and then it's like, okay, well, I guess Iowa made more sense, and I was excited about it,
Yeah.
um, but it made to me it made sense at the time. Um, and then when I left Iowa, it was like I'm gonna call Travis. Um, and so then I called Travis, and we just kind of kept in contact throughout that time, and I went out on a visit and absolutely loved it. Um, and I was like, okay, yeah, this definitely could be the place for me. And so yeah, and it's much easier to know what you're looking for when you've already been in college.
True.
And so when we talk about NIL, transfer portal, recruiting, all that stuff, right? Like I'm biased. I think you should, especially in undergrad, you should get a freebie, right? And we don't see it as much in wrestling right now. Basketball, football, we see it a lot more. But um, you can't expect a 16-year-old kid to make a educated decision on the next 5 years of his life on a weekend. And that's just the reality of it. And it's like
Yeah.
you hope, but you
Right.
like sometimes that doesn't pan out. And that sucks. Like again, you never want to see that happen, but it does. And so as you look at transfer portal stuff, it's like, okay, yeah. But with Trent and Travis, I love the way they coach. They are I will sing the praises of the UVA staff until kingdom come. Um, like anybody else, they have their flaws as every other staff does, as we all do, right? But as far as like people, culture, um, and honestly, some of the best technicians I've ever met goes like you got it there too. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I really did love my time at UVA.
I also like, or, what you kind of just made me think about was things in college athletics change so quickly and sometimes they blindside you. So, like with you, you may have made a different decision if Zadok had stayed and nothing happened there. But because it happened and maybe the timing that it happened, it kind of made you go, oh, okay, now I don't know. And so, like, you went with Iowa because I don't know. So you went with Iowa.
Yep.
Um, but like, what am I trying to say? So like, because things were happening and changing, you had to make a decision.
Yeah.
And when you make that decision and it ends up being maybe the wrong one, like you're saying, like a freebie would be kind of nice because of just circumstances are always changing. If that
Yeah.
makes any sense of what I just said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right because like circumstances change so fast, and like you get a coach that leaves. Like I look at um you know when I was in the portal this last time, and one of the places I was looking at was Northern Colorado, and Nickerson leaves,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like that would have kind of sucked if I would have committed and then he's just gone. And I don't really know because I like he's known my dad forever, and
Yeah.
so it's like I trust him. Um, and then so like you have kids, and it's like yeah, I mean that seems like fair game, but then just also as far as if you're just a young kid trying to make the best decision,
Right.
sometimes that just doesn't pan the way that you think it does. But
Yeah.
a funny story about recruiting was in the portal after my freshman year. I went up to South Dakota State, and Cody Caldwell coached at Grandview
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah.
younger, and so we used to roll around all the time. And so when I went up there, I asked him, I was like, Cody, like, can you just shoot me straight here? Why didn't you recruit me out of high school? And he was like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Gabe. The reason that a lot of places I think didn't call you was because everybody just knew you were in Hawkeye britches, and all you wanted to do was Hawkeye, Hawkeye, Hawkeye. And Iowa State made sense because it was all Hawkeyes too. But like, just the way that you operated and the way that you made it seem, it was like Morningstar was in your corner at everything. And you were always, levitating over towards Morningstar. Like we all kind of just figured you just didn't want anywhere else. Um, which obviously I was like, I definitely was, but that sucks.
Yeah.
You're like, that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no. And I mean, and I think about like kids, especially if I'm going to be a coach and recruiting, like look to what makes sense for you. You know, if just look to what makes sense for you. And something else too is like, it doesn't have to be D1. I know that D1's great, but like, there are guys who are real. I mean, Zach Glazier, right? Teammate of mine, awesome dude, right? He has an All-American plaque, and no one's ever going to be able to take that from him. And he got to coach with his brother and wrestle with his brother. And that's so cool. That
That
is
was
so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you're just like, that's awesome, right? And he made the decision that was best for him. And I think about like Joel Jesseroga. I don't know if you know who he is. He was in Iowa. He was a Southeast Polk kid
I've
too.
had both those guys on my podcast.
Okay, awesome. So
Yeah,
love him.
Joel up at South St. Cloud State. Yeah.
Yep, right. Like he made the best decision for him. Um, and so like you look at just the nature of what's best. You gotta weigh it out because it's so easy to be like, I want to be a Hawkeye. And it's great. It really is. It's awesome. It's a super cool experience. Um, but it's not everything. And that's something to keep in mind. It's something that I wish I would have kept in mind. But again, hindsight's always 2020.
Yeah, I feel like everyone wants to be the guy at Iowa to run out and wrestle in Carver.
Yeah.
And there's only 10 guys that get to do that, you
Yeah.
know? So, yeah. Um, but it's also about just the best fit for you too. Like you're saying, you're kind of doing a good job of selling people on just finding the best fit for them. Um, and not closing any doors unnecessarily just because of
Yeah.
what division they're in or whatever, just because you don't know who they are or whatever. Like, because your dad's probably going to be going through that. He's going to be mailing out stuff. He's going to be calling people, hey, head coach at Doan. And they're like, I don't know who
Fuck
you
no.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just,
But I mean, yeah, no, it's so important. I mean, you look at Air Force, an amazing school, a super good academic school.
yeah.
And also, the Air Force is really cool. Like, just
Yeah,
personally, I think the Air Force is
it's
really
pretty cool.
cool,
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you get to wrestle there. I mean, you know, if kids hear that, don't close that door, or it's like you look at Northwestern. If you're a kid who wants to wrestle in the Big Ten, but you're also somebody who knows that an economics degree from Northwestern carries some weight, like keep that in consideration because
Sure.
all of those things they matter, right? And sometimes kids don't think, they just think about where's going to be the coolest place to run out, and
Right.
that's a great thought. And like, yeah, yeah.
What? What are you laughing at?
Well, I'm laughing and I'm like, I was gonna say I'm throwing myself under the bus here. It's like, like that first match at Big Ten this year at Penn State, right? I'm wrestling Mirasola and he gets in on a double, and it's like, and the first thing I'm thinking is, I'm gonna go for a gator bacon. Terrible idea. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, but it was like he gets in on a double, and I was like, I'm gonna get it. Like this is gonna be the time because the first, I mean, you talk about a dude who's just insanely skilled, and like I mean, I know that bar is at 97, but like we were the same size. And I mean, like, I just don't know if I've ever gotten pieced up like that in my life. I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh. When we wrestled in the duel, I was just like, what just happened? Um, but we go out and I was like, I'm gonna pin him with the gator bacon. I got pinned. I have never heard an arena get so loud at rec hall. Like, oh my gosh. And then I shake his hand. I was like, oh, they're all cheering against me right now. I walk off and oh man, that was pretty funny. We all shared a laugh after that, but it was just like, oh man. So running out and having everybody cheer for you, definitely a cool experience.
Mhm.
Um, Having everybody cheer against you, less cool experience. But
Yeah.
yeah. So again, it's over now. I've got no shame in how I did it. Like, shoot, I again, and that's the other thing of the resentment. Like, yeah, I didn't win some matches, and I did win some matches, and and I've got some funny stories from both. And that's what they are now is awesome stories that I am so grateful that I get to tell. Um, I'm not gonna sit here and try and be like, I was so good. It's just like no, like dude, we're just people. We share this experience of wrestling, and it's such a niche community. Like we don't like I don't feel the need to try and be a tough guy. It's like that's that's not me.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I hope the guys that I wrestled remember me as a fierce competitor. Um, but I'm not gonna sit here and be like, try and hold anything above anybody ever.
Yeah.
So
So let me end you with this then. There's been some highlights, there's been some lowlights. I want to end on a highlight. Like, is there something, a match or a moment that you've had, it could be a couple, maybe it's hard to narrow down one that sticks out in your mind of over the course of this wrestling career of yours that really stands out among the rest?
yeah. I'm gonna give probably two or three here, and I'll keep them short. But um, the first time that I won state and hugging my dad after that match, and and that was just like a culmination of of legacy almost because my grandpa wrestled and coached, my dad wrestled and coached, his brother wrestled, and and none of them had ever won a state title, and so I was the first one in our
Mm,
family to get to do it. And then also just like nobody else saw everything that I did except for him. Like he
mm,
knew. Um, so get to share that moment with him on the floor was a really special experience. Um, and then after the second one would be like that's kind of the one of two, um, where it was just like that was a career and we got to share it together. You know, his entire Southeast Polk career coaching was my entire life. Like they moved to Southeast Polk because my mom worked in Des Moines. Again, also, we're going to go back to shout out mom here real quick
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm never not going to shout her out. So when my dad coached at Oskaloosa, um, my mom still worked in West Des Moines. She drove an hour and a half each way every day
Wow,
so that
what?
he could coach at Oskaloosa. Um, and
Wow. Did you like
so
even think about moving halfway in between so it was a shorter drive?
so I wasn't born yet.
Oh, okay.
So this is pre me. And then
Wow.
when they got pregnant um, with me, and so then it was like my mom goes to my dad and she's like, I can't drive
Right.
this far with a child. So then they pick up and move Sally's Polk, and so then the entirety of my life was Sally's Polk coaching. And so um, to get to share that with him, and then knowing that I was the last medal that he ever hung around a high school athlete's neck. That was a cool experience. Um,
True. Yeah. Cool.
yeah, so that was cool. And then the other one was the one I mentioned earlier at UVA. So just kind of running through that was like our whole thing that year was it's just another day at the office, um, and never making it bigger than it is. And so I remember running out and Ian Parker and Travis Paulson just another day at the office. Um, and I might cry at this. I usually do. But the song "Firm Foundation" is my walkout song, and so I hear
Firm
this.
foundation.
Yeah, it's a worship song,
Okay.
um, and I hear the start of this, uh, and that's kind of why I almost started crying because it was after everything that had happened, not knowing if I was going to get to be able to wrestle again, and then I get to step out for the first time, um, the first time like really like in a while, and so I'm like holding back tears. I'm like, all right, I gotta lock it. I'm about to
Yeah.
wrestle this
Yeah.
match. Like I can't be crying right
Yeah.
now. And so then, go out and wrestle and pretty well had a handling win. Um, and I literally just like could not control. Like after the match ended and the whistle blew and I got up and everybody started standing up, I just like started weeping. Right. Such a weird experience. Like you win a match and you're the one just like
Right. Yeah.
weeping. And I look over at my parents who have done so much for me and they're also crying and the coaches are crying and like my teammates are like, you know, and um so I take a moment, then I run over to them, and like I said, it literally was just a swarm. Like I run over, and it literally like I had my hands out, and a couple guys just run in my arms, and then everybody just like runs around me, and it's just like one big dog pile essentially. Um, and so like that was definitely one of the highlights, and like to end on the note of that was just like one thing that I really found myself proud of. Like, there's not a lot that I really can say as far as my college career that I would be proud of. Um,
Yeah.
but the resilience, because like at a lot of points, I think anybody would have looked at me and said, "Just hang it up,"
Yeah. 100%. And
and
they wouldn't have blamed you for
and
it.
nobody would have batted an eye, right? But it was like I'm gonna go out there, and if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. But at least I had the balls to step out there, you know. And so that's my encouragement for anybody that listens to the fullness of this conversation was just have the courage to step out there because that goes so far. And that is the stuff that's going to stick with you more than anything is the resilience and the courage because not everybody has the courage to put it on the line in front of everybody where it's 1v1, all eyes are on you. Um, and be willing to be the man in the arena. So that's what I got.
Love it. You know, it's fitting. You said it was fitting that that's the way that things were going to end. I think that's a fitting way to end the podcast. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I do have two more questions for you that I just want just
Yeah.
because. Um,
Yeah. Sure.
what was your favorite Southeast Polk singlet? I mean, I feel like you guys
Oh
had.
my gosh, dude. Okay. So I love the plaid ones. I never got to wear it.
Oh, you didn't?
No. So I never got to wear the
Bummer.
plaid one, which really was. Um, I would say I was always a fan of just the classic black Iowa. Um, Obviously they got new ones this year, I think. And I remember seeing that. And honestly, I didn't love them, but
Yeah.
I like they're so cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I loved the classic Cliff
Yeah.
Keen, just straight black
Mm-hmm.
SEP, the wrestling ram. I think that probably would have had to have been my favorite one. I'm trying to think if we got, yeah, we had a couple Nikes. We had like the Nike with the American flag like on the back.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
that one's cool.
Yeah.
One state in that one, but I was just always, if anybody asked, it was like I'm going black, back in black,
Mm-hmm.
baby.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then the other thing I was thinking about was I thought it was interesting that Southeast Polk, while you were there, won three dual state titles, but only one traditional. And I feel like normally it's the other way around that, like, you can win a traditional, but it's a lot harder to win a dual. But you guys, so I
yeah,
just was like, I'm curious.
yeah. This actually the same question sparked, and I want to get your input. What's your favorite Air Force single? Because you guys have a lot of awesome ones.
Yeah.
But if I'll answer this one first. So the culture that was built so much on brotherhood and like I got your back and you got mine because we've gone through so much. And I like as far as teams go, I've never seen a team feed off of each other as much as we did. And like, I mean, I just remember, that freshman year, it was like it was really tight with Fort Dodge. And then Gavin Babcock got a pin, I got a pin, and then Cody Wonderlick got a pin, which was kind of a surprise, and then Grant
Mhm.
Dishinger got a pin, which was kind of a surprise. And then all of a sudden, it was like it just like broke the duel open. Um, and it was just like everybody is just feeding off each other. And the like relationships that we built were just so solid and built on trust of like, and this is, I mean, this carried with me all the way through to college, but it was like, I trust that you are going to do your job just as much as you trust that I'm going to do mine. And because we've been through all of the training together, I know you're able to. So I'm just going to trust that you're able to, and you trust me. And then we go and we do it. And then, as far as like the traditional goes, I mean, sometimes that was just luck of the draw. And sometimes we had guys that just didn't put their best out, and that sucks. And that's the reality of the sport because it's a tough sport. Um, but whenever we were together and it was like as a one, as a team, I mean, you know, cliche, but it's like it was us versus everybody else.